up, everybody, man? Welcome back. We are at episode 6 now of cultural differences. Man, I don't know how we got here. It's cool. It's been fun. We're having fun. We kind of running out of topics a little bit. This week we decided to use a topic that's not truly necessarily a cultural differences. I think that it just kind of depends on family and background. I don't think it's necessarily a culture thing, but it's a good topic to talk about. We're talking about disciplining your child.
I will say though, as an educator, I have noticed there is somewhat of a difference in way that I've noticed in cultures of how they address like behavior concerns in a student. Obviously, it would be a stereotype to say that everyone follows or falls into a certain thing, but yeah, I've seen some cultural differences with it. So when it comes to disciplining children, there are definitely different approaches. So in our family, we both have expectations for Selah, and we both want to raise a good human being, but I'm definitely more of a passive disciplinarian. Like kind of shut it down if she's being extremely disrespectful or just like doing things that are just really out of bounds, but I typically deal and put up with a lot more than Coach B does.
Yeah, I grew up in a household where I did have spankings. I got my butt whooped a few times. I was a kid though that did understand that I did not enjoy them, so I did things to keep me from getting them. The process doesn't work for everybody, put it that way. So we've been fortunate enough with Selah where I haven't had to spank her. I don't think we ever will have to spank her.
We never would. So I'm anti-spanking.
I raise my voice to a certain level and I pretty much get what I need out of her by just doing that. So the first time I heard the words timeout, I never knew what the heck a freaking timeout was. Go to timeout. What is a timeout? That was hilarious.
Yeah, so growing up, I did have one time that I got a spanking, and it was like a situation. I'm sure my mom was just like super frustrated, and she thought that I had given my sister medicine, which is like a dangerous thing. So she told me I had to get a spanking, and I think the anticipation of getting one was worse than getting it because she literally was just like. And then I remember the conversation that we had afterwards where she told me it hurt her more than it hurt me, which
she did what?
She said, "This hurt me more than it hurt you."
No, the spanking.
Oh, it was just a very light tap. Like it didn't hurt at all. I pretty much did cry because I wanted her to think it hurt, but it didn't. Sorry, Mom. And my mom was definitely more laid back and easygoing. So my parents got divorced when I was like in high school age, and so my mom did a lot of the discipline when I was that age, and a lot of it was I was a really good kid up until high school, and then, you know, I was figuring myself out, and she just assumed that I was going to continue to be a really good kid, so she was like, "Oh, don't worry about curfew, just like use your own judgment," and she just trusted that I was just like studying or, you know, hanging out with my Stuco friends when in fact I was not. And my best judgment was not great because I was like 15, 16 years old. But I'm sure looking back, she would be more strict on me. She was just really I'm her oldest. So she just trusted that I was going to just do everything by the book, and I didn't.
Yeah. I've been whooped with switches before. A lot of people out there know exactly what a switch is and how hard that is. I think the hardest part of the whole switch deal is when, you know, your grandma make you go out and pick your own switch, and if you come back with one that's too thin, you gotta go back and get one that's thicker. So
I just think that's kind of cruel.
I kept some of us in line, and that's just the generation of what they were brought up on and what they knew worked. Yeah. It worked for some and worked for them.
I know a lot of people, I guess, probably still do spank. I don't believe in spanking, and even if we had like a kid who was more hard-headed, it wouldn't happen in our house. I just don't really believe in it. I don't think it's
we'll
effective.
Put them in timeout.
I'm not a big timeout person either, but I just think the punishment matches the crime, and I'm not going to spank my kid and then expect them to be a peaceful, caring person. I mean, you are, but at the same time, you weren't spanked that much. I just think that like research shows spanking really doesn't work. It's not a great punishment, but everyone has.
I won't promote beat kids. Whatever works best for you. Obviously, whatever is best for the safety of the child.
I think that you have to understand the kiddo and understand what works for them. I think the best way to do it is to have clear boundaries from like day one. Like once, you know, even when they're really young, to start having some expectations and boundaries, and they're gonna push them, and you have to stick with those and support your partner. We've had lots of conversations without her involved of what we both think discipline should be and how it should look in certain situations, and we compromise and we figure out what works best for our family. Sayla's the type of kid who we really don't, I mean, I think I've only had to really like get on her a handful of times, and typically it's just for like smart mouth, and I just have to be like, please don't talk to me that way, it's disrespectful, and that pretty much nips it. So we lucked out. Like, that's not our parenting, that's just who she is as a person. I'm sure if we had a strong-willed kid, we'd be having these conversations a lot more. But I do know, like, I could, like, for the cultural differences thing, like on a funny note, like I've mentioned before, I teach in a pretty diverse school, and my kids always say stuff like, man, like, you're such a white mom. And I'm like, what's that mean? They're like, you're just always like, let's talk about our feelings, and I'm so sorry you're sad. What can I do to make you happy? Should we hug that out? And they're like, my mom just would be like a lot different in her approach.
Kids are smart, they're manipulative, they're little baby kids at heart. So they gonna do whatever they can to try to get over if you allow it to happen. When you put your foot down and you hold them accountable, then you'll start getting results out of it.
Maybe.
And if you don't, then that's when you get that belt.
He's joking, guys, don't listen to him. Also, I don't always agree with that either, though, because I think a lot of people, because I'm soft and I do give in, they assume that my students don't respect me or don't have boundaries, or my kids don't, and that's not true at all, because I work really hard to build a relationship, and I understand who needs a little bit more pressure and who needs a little bit more firmness versus someone who just really needs someone to like love them where they're at. And I think because I use a different approach with each child, they respect me and we have better results. And I very, very, very rarely have to raise my voice or be firm because I have that relationship. And it's kind of like, don't you remember as a kid, if like you were like, it's worse for your parent to be disappointed in you than any punishment they could give you? Right?
It was worse to get a butt whooping.
Well, so I guess maybe they don't work because I didn't really get spanked, and I was more upset about disappointing my parents or them thinking that I wasn't living up to their standards. Like, the spanking is like quick, it's over with.
Yeah, if you get a love tap.
Or grounding or a timeout, those are just like a period, but your parents seeing you in a different light, that's like heartbreaking, that's devastating, that's takes a lot longer. So I think when you build those relationships and that person like looks up to you as someone they respect and someone that they honor, then they're going to be more sad about letting you down than the punishment. So I think that's where we differ a lot in our views on discipline.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, so comment below. We won't really pull Sayla into this because obviously, like, if you ask her about discipline, I know exactly what she's gonna say. She's gonna say, Daddy gets mean, which he doesn't. He'll just say, that's enough, and then she cries, and then she says, Daddy yells, and he doesn't even yell.
The tone of the voice, I got that tone down. I can hit a certain tone to catch her attention and get her to stop.
She gets sad. And then, but it does nip it, whereas it takes me a little bit longer to nip it. But, so she would definitely say that you're more strict or the one who disciplines more, and I'm not. I think she's said before, like, well, I just do stuff to you because I know that I can get away with it.
My baby think belts are used for wearing around your waist, not to be spanked with. She's never seen someone get spanked before.
She doesn't even know what that is, I don't think. And I'm okay with that. Because we don't have Sayla in this video, we can have the comments open. So we can't have comments open when there's a kid in the video. It's just YouTube's rules. But we can have these comments open. So comment below. What do you guys think about discipline? How were you raised? Do you think it worked, didn't work? Let us know. Let's have some dialogue. We're trying to raise a good human being who offers a lot to society, who respects others, but also has some freedom to figure out who she is. And that's just a really hard balance as a parent. So share your thoughts, share your beliefs, share your philosophies on parenting or just working with kids in general. So thanks for following us along on this. We should have a couple more episodes of cultural differences probably. Yeah. There's a couple more we can go into, and share if you guys have any that you'd like us to talk about.
Put that in the comments below. Let us know about some, because actually I'll give my guy some shout outs. One of the coaches actually brought this to my attention to be one of our topics for today. So if you guys got topics that you want to talk about, you think is interesting, let's put it on the table. Let's get it out there and let's talk about it.
Yeah, we'll be the ones to bring it up. Obviously, not every episode's gonna be like light and funny and silly, but I think it's stuff to talk about, especially like just in our current situation in society. People, you know, race is something that we need to talk more about and have more understanding and talk about some differences that people may have, because it really shows that like human beings were all the same. And then people might start seeing that like, no, that's not actually a cultural difference, because I did that in my life too. And so it kind of just breaks down some of those barriers that end up turning into racism. So we like to have these open conversations, because when there's lack of ignorance, and hopefully there's lack of prejudice. Right? All right. Well, we hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. Thanks for tuning in.
Peace.
Cultural differences. Ooh, yeah. Cultural differences. Ooh, yeah.